Bible Study Guide Day 60, Numbers 14 to 15, Psalm 90. After hearing the negative report of Canaan, the Israelites grumble and complain against Moses and Aaron. They suggest returning to Egypt, despite all of God's miraculous signs and provisions that they have witnessed. Moses and Aaron fall face down. Joshua and Caleb tear their clothes, and they try to convince the people of God's faithfulness and power. But the Israelites refuse to listen and threaten to stone them. Then God speaks in anger and plans to strike the people with a plague and disinherit them from the promised land. Moses intercedes for the people, reminding God of his character and reputation among the nations. He pleads for forgiveness and for God to show his strength by forgiving their sin and sparing them. In response, God pardons them, but declares that none of the adults who grumbled against him will see the promised land. Only Caleb and Joshua, who wholeheartedly followed God, will enter. God says the disobedient Israelites will be forced to wander in the wilderness for 40 years until the adults who grumbled against God pass away. Then, the 10 unfaithful spies are immediately struck down with a plague, and the Israelites mourn their fate. However, they do not learn from their mistakes and decide to disobey God again by attempting to enter the promised land without his guidance or blessing. Moses warns them of the consequences, but they ignore him. The Israelites set out towards Canaan, but, as expected, they are defeated by the Amalekites and Canaanites. This chapter serves as a cautionary tale of rebellion against God and trusting in our own strength instead of his. It also highlights Moses' role as an intercessor for the people and God's willingness to forgive when we humble ourselves and seek his mercy. God gives Moses specific instructions regarding supplementary offerings, which are additional sacrifices to the regular burnt offerings on Sabbaths and feasts. These offerings are made out of thanksgiving or as a fulfillment of a vow. The Israelites are commanded to give an offering of grain, oil, and wine with each animal sacrifice. These offerings are to be made in specific proportions, and no sacrifice is to be offered without them. The people are instructed to bring specific sacrifices according to their means, whether rich or poor. The same laws apply to both the native Israelite and the foreigners living among them. God makes it clear that everyone is equal in his eyes and should follow these laws without exception. God also provides instructions for making offerings to atone for unintentional sins. These sacrifices include a young bull or male goat, along with the burnt grain and drink offerings. The offering is meant to cover both the individual who sinned unintentionally and the entire community. The person must confess their sin before presenting the sacrifice, and the priest will make atonement on their behalf. This highlights the importance of taking responsibility for our actions, even when they are unintentional. It also serves as a reminder that our sins not only affect ourselves, but those around us as well. God also reminds the Israelites of the seriousness of keeping the Sabbath holy. A man is caught gathering wood on the Sabbath, and God commands Moses to have him stoned to death as a warning to others. This may seem harsh to us in modern times, but it emphasizes the importance of following God's commandments and honoring him above all else. It also serves as a warning against disobedience and a reminder to trust in him. God also commands the Israelites to wear tassels on their garments as a reminder of his commandments and to distinguish themselves as his people. Psalm 90 is the oldest psalm in the book of Psalms and is attributed to Moses. It is a prayer of lament, acknowledging the brevity of human life and the everlasting nature of God. Moses begins by exalting God as the creator of all things and reminding us that he has been present since before time began. He contrasts this with our own fleeting existence, which is but a passing shadow in comparison to God's eternal nature. In verses 3 to 6, Moses laments the effects of sin on humanity, leading to death and decay. He acknowledges that all humans are destined to return to dust and reminds us of God's judgment. However, in verses 7 to 12, Moses also recognizes God's mercy and asks for his wisdom and guidance. He pleads for God to help us number our days so that we may gain a heart of wisdom and live in awe of him. Finally, Moses ends the psalm with a prayer for God's favor and blessings upon his people. He acknowledges our own weakness and asks for God to establish the work of our hands for his glory. Psalm 90 serves as a reminder of our mortality, the consequences of sin, and the importance of seeking God's mercy and wisdom in our lives. It also showcases Moses' humility and reliance on God as the ultimate source of strength and guidance. When we reflect upon these chapters, let us remember these valuable lessons about trusting in God, following His commandments, and humbling ourselves before Him. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to help us spread the word. God bless you.